guys, Sean Terry here. What is up? Hope you're doing well. You'll be hearing me talk about here in the future where we are when it comes to this whole COVID thing, right? So, COVID-19 has had a massive health impact and has changed a lot of people's lives when it comes to businesses not being able to operate, people losing their jobs to the tune of 14.7%. It was actually, they just reported out today, has come down to about 11%. But, if you compare those numbers, those are like Great Depression numbers when it comes to unemployment rates, or like historical, right, like insane. So, but no one's been really talking about the aftermath of what is about to come because of this loss of jobs and these businesses that are going out of business. So I started doing some massive research recently and kind of diving into, the potential of what could happen in the mortgage sector when it comes to residential real estate, in the mortgage sector when it comes to commercial real estate, right? Those two hold up our residential market and our commercial market. Now, the commercial market usually trends behind the residential market. So if there's something happens in the residential market, it eventually impacts the commercial market. And that happened in 2008. So when I started doing some research and kind of looking at it and of what was happening, and if you look at all the unemployment, and it's interesting because people aren't getting back to work. We're actually coming into potentially a second shutdown. In Arizona here recently, they just shut down bars, they shut down gyms. What else they shut down here? Movie theaters, right? Tubing rentals. Yeah, we have a huge Salt River here, and people are going out in droves because it's so hot out, 105 degrees, and renting these tubes and going down the Salt River. What else they shut down here?
Groups of 50 or more.
Groups of 50 or more, right? Yeah. So no weddings, no parties, no concerts, no anything like that. Basically we closed and then we potentially reopened. Now, for my business, my real estate business, we have all been working virtually, right? Our whole entire team, we come in for a Monday morning meeting, and then everybody works virtually. Everyone works from home, and they're crushing. They're doing incredibly well. I'm actually really surprised. I was, tied to the fact that if you're going to have a team of people, they have to work in the office and this, that, and the other, where I'm finding out now that people are responsible. If they have quotas they have to meet, and they have their accountability measures, then they tend to have the autonomy and the freedom. They'll do incredibly well. So what we have for my sales team and my disposition team, I basically told them, I said, listen, here's a specific quota for the sales team that you have to hit each week. If you don't hit the quota for the week, then you have to report daily. That means we have used Slack as a communication channel. And what they have to do is they have to type in everything that they did for the day, how many people they talked to, how many offers they made, how many contracts they got. So they're going to report to the entire team daily, every single day. And if they miss their quota after reporting daily, then they've got to come into the office. They're going to work in the office so we can manage their time. And what we find out is, through this process, we find out that someone's not using their time correctly in a productive way. And we usually can shore that up, where then they can hit their quota and then they can go back to working at home again if they choose. But what the cool thing is, everybody has hit their quotas and everybody has been fine. So it's been a very positive thing, and I really like it. Now, it makes me think, though, do I need this big 4,000 square foot office? I probably don't. I probably could restructure it in a better way. potentially and make a difference. So those are all things I'm thinking about. But that is similar conversation my father-in-law is having, similar conversation that other business owners, other real estate investors that I talk to, other people that own like my neighbor across the street owns a couple businesses. They're all having similar conversations saying, do we really need to have this office space? So what is this, when I'm doing this research and looking of what potentially could happen, because I always want to be in front of the curve, in front of the wave. When this whole crash happened in May 15th, it actually happened, I started looking at what was the potential, play in the marketplace. So, I saw oil was at all-time record lows, or oil. Now, everybody knows that, we need oil. So, what happened was, people stopped driving, people stopped flying. You have all the cruise lines that stopped sailing, and this was not just a United States issue. This happened all over the entire world. So the demand on oil plummeted, which shot oil prices down, if you remember, to negative $42 a barrel, meaning they had to pay someone to take a barrel of oil, and that was April 28th that it hit negative prices on the May contract. Never been done before in history. It's ever been down that low. So oil literally got down. I started buying oil when it was down to $10 to $12 a barrel, and now we just literally broke $40 a barrel right now, and it's on its way to up to $60 to potentially $100 a barrel because of all the cuts that are happening. So I'm always looking to find what is that opportunity or potential next trend that we could get in front of and be able to profit immensely from, right? And do it in a way that's honest, ethical, and you can go out there and crush it. So I started again diving into some research and saying, what is going to be the impact of 14.7%, 20, 30 million people unemployed? What's going to be the impact of hundreds of thousands of businesses that are never going to open up again? What's going to be the impact of people not getting a paycheck when the government funding runs out, when they can't go back to a job? What's going to happen with that? So I started looking at mortgage defaults. Now, mortgage defaults are when someone doesn't pay their mortgage, right? And when you don't pay their mortgage, a bank has to, it puts it into a default status, and they go through a collection process so they can foreclose on the property, and the property is the collateral for the debt. Meaning, if you have a house and it's worth $200,000 and you owe $170, you owe $150, whatever the number is, and you don't pay your mortgage, it takes about 90 days, and they're going to attempt to call you. They're going to send you letters, and someone gets behind on their mortgage. 90 days. After 90 days, what happens is they send it to what's called a trustee, or they send it to an attorney to basically do a foreclosure process. And what they're going to do is now they're going to schedule an auction date so that house can be auctioned off, right? And that takes anywhere from 2 to 3 months for that auction process to happen. And now the house goes to auction at attorney's offices, or down here in Phoenix, it's at the county courthouse steps. So at that auction process, there's investors that sit around, right? And you have the bank or the trustee. They have like California Reconveyance Company, or they have these, Tiffany and Bosco is one here, a couple of them locally. And what they'll do is they'll auction off all the houses that are in default, and now an investor will buy it at whatever bid price that is and pay cash on the spot within 24 hours, and that cash goes back to the bank, and that's how they recoup their debt on that property. So investors all line up. Now, foreclosures have been at historic lows in January. Inventory was the problem in January, this past January, right? It was hard to find deals. So when I talk to real estate wholesalers, I'm part of mastermind groups. I'm talking to some of the big players that everybody knows in the marketplace. The big obstacle was finding deals. How do I get cheap leads? My lead cost is going up. How do I find deals? Because everybody's working. Unemployment rate is historic lows. The economy's blowing up. The stock market's blowing up. Everybody's happy. Everybody's making money, and it was hard to find deals, right? But that all changed in March 15th, actually, where they came out and they literally, COVID came out and shut down the country. Now, that impact has happened, and it's all shifted now, where now we're going to have a massive, what I call it, the real estate default tsunami, a wave of distressed sellers that's going to hit our market, right? Not only distressed sellers, distressed properties. So what does that look like? So you have 14.7%. You got 20, 30 million people unemployed. You have all these business owners that are not going to be able to reopen. They got stimulus, but now that stimulus is running out. Now they've done an extension where I know that people can apply for the Paycheck Protection Program loans longer, but there's a lot of people that haven't taken that, and it only lasts for so long. It's a 2-month period that actually lasts. And then when it comes to the $600 a month for the unemployed people, that's running out at the end of July. So I'll give an example. My wife's sister lives in California, and she has worked at Disney for over 20 years. Well, Disney furloughed her, paid her until July 1st, until yesterday, right? Until yesterday, or is it yesterday? Or the day before? Wednesday. So it was yesterday. So paid her until yesterday, and Disney's done. That means all her benefits are gone. All pay's gone. Everything's done. Completely stopped on July 1st. Well, the whole $600 a week for the unemployment thing stops at the end of July, and Disney has given no indication that they're bringing people back. Now, they were going to try to open the park was it July 15th, Chris?
I think so.
Yeah, July 15th. Well, they just came out. Now this whole second wave is coming, and California is a mess, and LA is a hotbed. Arizona is too. That they now have said they're postponed opening indefinitely until further notice. So that means she's not going back to work. She's been there for 20 plus years. What is she going to do, right? And that's just one person. And I've heard story after story after story after story of the exact same thing. Now, the interesting thing, on the other side of the coin, I've got friends that work in companies like an elevator company, or works in construction company, that works in, and they're doing fine. So you got half the population, more than half the population, that are doing fine. They have jobs, they have stable jobs, they have money coming in, they have no problem whatsoever, right? Just the inconvenience of COVID. Then you have the other side of the coin, less than half the population, about 20, 30% of the population, where are in literally getting pummeled financially and because of this whole COVID mess, or about to get pummeled because of this whole COVID mess. So what is the underlying thing that has happened in this tsunami that's about to hit? Well, if you look back in 2008 as a comparison from 2008 to now, 2008, right, the entire market got hit. Everybody got hammered. And the real estate market got literally crushed. Whereas, I'll give you an example, in Phoenix, houses that were $200,000 went down to $20,000 to $30,000. And people, literally, it hit everybody. It hit the wealthy, it hit the middle class, and it hit the lower middle class. It hit everybody on an income basis. Financially. This is different. Because what has happened now is you have the people that are being impacted because they've lost their jobs or they lost their businesses. what's happening now is they're not paying their mortgages. So in the first quarter of 2008, there was about 616,000 mortgage defaults. First quarter of 2008, right? In April, just April, we haven't got May numbers and we don't have June numbers yet, right? Just in April, there was 1.5 million mortgage defaults. So 616 in the first quarter, 1.5 million just in April, and it's supposed to be double, if not triple. And that number is expected to quadruple, and that's not even taking into an account a second wave of COVID. So what does that mean when you have quadruple, you're talking 6 million, right? 6 million. 6 million, that will dwarf what we've seen in 2008 by the tune of 3 to 4 times. So if you remember 2008 and you're driving down streets, you see foreclosure houses all over, vacant properties all over the place, you're going to see that again, but it's going to be literally 3 to 4 times worse. So what's happening now, especially in it's going to be weird because you're going to have some houses are going to be fine, and some houses are going to be, places right next door are going to be let go and going to foreclosure in all types of neighborhoods. Business owners are going to lose their house. It's going to happen. So this underlying current right now, it's already happening underneath. People aren't paying their mortgages to the tunes of millions and millions of people, but it's not being seen in the public eye right now because of that 30, 60, 90-day process and then the foreclosure process, that it won't, the tsunami, the wave, the current, the earthquake of COVID happened underneath the water, and the wave now will hit in the fourth quarter of 2020, in the first, second, third quarter of 2021. Now, I've had someone ask me, what about forbearances, right? What about the forbearances? Well, there's going to be a very small amount of people that are able to qualify for the forbearance, and I don't think the U.S. government's going to come out and say, "Hey, we're going to basically pay a stimulus and bail everybody out of the." I mean, you're talking. You're trillions and trillions of dollars of money, which they've already put in. And I don't think they can get that approved. I believe they won't get that approved. And here's why. Is because right behind it, you have the commercial mortgage defaults that are right now looming as well. And I'll give you an example. Carl Icahn is one of the most intelligent investors of our kind. I mean, in our marketplace. And he's the one who sold short on Blockbuster and invested a huge stake in Netflix when Netflix was he's the one that helped fund Netflix, and now Netflix stock just broke, was it $480, right? And he's made hundreds of millions of dollars off that investment into Netflix because that next wave that came, or next wave has come, is people got rid of VHS tapes and now they went to streaming, and that new technology literally just changed it. And now think about it, everybody streams, right? You got Disney Plus, you got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got Apple TV. Everyone now streams. Everything is online. Nobody has DVDs or discs. Changed the complete industry. And especially rental and rental fees. I used to pay, I used to bring it back, a day late, it'd be $15 of a rental fee. It's stupid, right? Hated that. Hated Blockbuster. Now you can just stream it. You're good. The bottom line is this, and what this means for you, and here's my point, is that a default tsunami is coming. And just like Blockbuster to Netflix, just like the opportunity to buy oil for historically record lows, you're going to have an opportunity to be able to literally put yourself in front of a massive wave of distressed properties where sellers, see, these banks are going to try to take back these properties. They're going to foreclose on these properties. They're going to want to auction these properties off. But because you're learning what I've been teaching you all these years, we're direct to seller. We don't want to deal with the banks. We don't want to deal with it after the bank takes it back. We want to help these sellers out of this problem. We want to help them get out of that situation, help them save their credit, help them recoup the majority of their equity, right? And be able to sell their property without having to fix it up, without having to deal with realtors, without having to, all the process of not knowing a price and not knowing when, because they have a short time frame to basically have to sell their house, right? If an average house, in the market sells 90 to 120 days, and guess what? They get a foreclosure notice. They only have 90 days, right? And now they got to list it and put it on the market and worry about the closing. Here, you can be that person for them that's going to be in front of them and say, hey, listen, you know what? I can get it done, and I can get it done quickly, and you don't have to worry about a thing, and you don't have to pay me any commissions or anything like that. And what we can do is we can get that property under contract, and we can turn around and we can sell that to an investor that's going to fix it up, turn around, and be able to add value to that property, which will add value to a neighborhood that will allow a new family to come into that house. So now the seller of that property can now restart, have a fresh start. They can recoup their credit. They can save their credit. So they have a foreclosure on the credit, which will be on their record for 7 years, and they can pull out the majority of their equity, and you can help them do that. So what does that mean? We're going to have a massive influx. So what does that mean for you? Is that it's almost like walking up to an apple tree, but the apples are made of gold. And you're going to be able to pick them in plucks of 5,000, 10. It's like going to an apple tree, but they're checks, and you're going to say, it's apple season, and now you're picking those apples, which are checks, right off the tree. It's going to be so much. It's going to be insane, where you're going to have literally sellers, and instead of getting 1 in 25 deals, you're going to get 1 in 3, which every other person you talk to, you're going to be able to sign a contract with, and you're going to be able to get contracts on, and you're going to be able to get deals and turn around and flip them to avid buyers. See, here's the other thing on the other side of the coin. Let's talk about that. Right? On the other side of the coin, you have a great market. You have ample ready buyers. You have buyers that have plenty of income. You have buyers that have great credit. And you have historic low interest rates. The Fed came out and said they're not touching interest rates till mid to next year of 2021. And interest rates now are at historic lows below 3%. So what's going to happen is we're going to see an increase in home pricing. Now, a lot of people have taken their properties off the MLS because of COVID, because they don't want people coming through their house. So all the people that have listed their properties, they have time to wait. They're not in a rush. They have taken their properties off the market during COVID, which now, what does that do? It's a supply and demand issue, where we have less supply and we have pent-up demand, and now we're going to have an influx of these distressed properties that we can get under contract and sell them to this ample, ready, willing, able buyers over here. So I believe we are right now in literally positioned right now. If you follow me what I'm talking about, and I've been doing this for 17 years, following real estate, I know it inside out. I read more stuff about what's going on in the market, what's happening in the market, just like I caught oil at $12, right? Because I've been put myself in a position to be in front of that, right? Just like when it came out with COVID, right? We came out, because of virtual wholesaling. I knew something was coming, and I positioned my entire company in early October, November to move to virtual wholesaling. I don't know what it was. It was a gut feeling, and next thing you know, COVID comes out. We came out with one of the premier courses called Remote Millions that literally has blown up and has changed people's lives. We launched that, and now because of COVID, it's the perfect business model. You're doing deals virtually over the phone, talking to buyers and sellers over the phone. You don't even have to look at a property. And right now we're doing deals, right? And here's the thing. We've closed more business, right, in this last week of actually doing business than I've ever done in the history of my 17 years because of what is going on. So what I'm telling you is, don't sit on the sideline. Don't wait. Don't contemplate, to consider, to evaluate. Don't hesitate. Now's the time to get deadly serious, get involved, get your marketing going, stop, dabbling, right, in this real estate thing, and start getting serious about it, because the wave has already started trickling in. Our leads right now are doubling and tripling just because of this whole COVID thing. They're literally influxing right now, and it's going to happen in such a huge way. You're going to drop direct mail, you're going to put your AdWords up, you're going to do a ringless voicemail, you're going to do text campaigns, and you're going to have, instead of people going, leave me alone, I'm not selling, rah, 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 you're going to have people going, yeah, I'm selling, yeah, I'll sell, yeah, yeah, I'm interested, what's your offer, right? And those are all signs, and it's going to be, instead, like I told you, 1 in 25, it's going to be like 1 in 2, 1 in 3, 1 in 5, and those numbers are going to be insane. So you have to position yourself to be at the right place at the right time. You are here at the right place at the right time